Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. So, thank you to those of us who have logged into this session bright and early. You're all welcome to this session today where Mr. Bankole Dada will be taking us through a review of a business analyst CV rather than business analysis CV. So it will be your CV reviewed here tonight. Now, Mr. Bankole Dada, first and foremost, is one of the executive program board members of the Ladder Back Down, and that has been the case for over 2 years now. So we are privileged to have some of his time here tonight. He's also a chief customer experience officer at Web Awesome Designs UK Limited, and he also offers mentoring of BAs online through his company. He also offers web design tutorials. Besides that, he's also a senior business analyst with extensive experience and a senior product owner and senior product manager. With that, having said that, I'd like to welcome Mr. Dada to introduce himself rather than for me to continue to introduce him. But before I do that, I'd just like to explain that the Ladder Back Down is a community that was established in January 2020, designed to inspire Black professionals all over the world to start sending the ladder of opportunity and knowledge and skills down to one another, to start helping ourselves to thrive professionally just as other races do. Last year, as we approached our 5th-year anniversary, we decided to expand the scope of our mission to include Black humans and allies. We've run a Telegram community for just over a year now. Prior to that, we were on WhatsApp, where we grew to over 2,500 members. We've now grown to just over 2,000, as not that many people actually use Telegram to engage on a daily basis compared to WhatsApp. But we are growing, we are thriving, and the aim of everything that we do, including what we're doing tonight in partnership with Mr. Dada, is to inspire our fellow Black humans and allies to thrive in their careers, in their professions, in their businesses. The Ladder Back Down will not be taking any fees from webawesome.co.uk or Mentoring BA Online or Learn Web Design Club. So whenever we deliver these programs in collaboration with professionals, we do not collect a fee. Every single service that we offer through the Ladder Back Down is free of charge. So just to be aware of that, that the Ladder Back Down is not selling you anything at all tonight. It's simply a case of just trying to get each and every one of you to thrive. And on that note, I'll now hand you over to Mr. Dada, whilst I'll also be a student on this workshop tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibukunmi. Thank you for what you're doing. This is what I look like on camera. So, yeah, I want to appreciate this platform. It's been a blessing to me personally, and it's been an opportunity to keep me on my toes because I'm somebody who likes to teach, like to learn, and I like to connect with people. She's introduced me. I don't think there's anything else to add, apart from the fact that I'm a man of many. I get involved in many things because I'm very curious. As a BA, I've worked with developers over time, so I want to see what they do. I want to, get in their world. So I found myself building websites, building apps, building things, and even teaching people to do that. And it's something I do out of the goodness of my heart. And it's been an experience. So once again, my name is Bankole Dada. My friends call me Banks, but I'm here to help you with your CV. As a product manager certified person, I have gone through a CV workshop myself, and I've been taught the basics. And I believe that if we understand how the mechanics of a CV, the CV customization works, we'll stand out in the market, and will escape the frustrations that come with job hunt. Especially as Black people, it could be more difficult to get a job because we need to put in more effort. So we don't want to leave any loopholes, so to say, on some of those products that we have that helps us, that will help us in the market at the moment. So if you're looking for a CV rebrand, you're in the right place. And it's not going to be a long thing. It's not going to be a very long. I understand it's 2 hours, but I don't think we need up to that. But if we have a lot of questions, I'm happy to answer them. So that's fine. So we have a lot of time for questions and answers. So I'm going to start. The title of the workshop is reviewing your BA CV. Even though I'm going to keep it more generic, but it's going to be focusing more on business analysis. Now, what is business analysis? I didn't actually put anything around business analysis. It's simply a way of solving business problems. You want to understand how businesses work. For example, I can give you an example. You hire a new BA to come and look at your processes. Why is it looking at the process? We want to look at how we can actually improve or digitize that process so we can save money, or we can respond better to our customers, or we can compete within the market, or we can stay afloat. So there could be so many reasons, but your work as a BA is to deliver outcomes that will favor the business. The outcome could be saving money, it could be improving something, it could be teaching something somebody, it could be building something new, it could be rebranding something that's already existing. So it's all around driving value and aligning business objectives with that value. For example, if you still want to save money, and at the end of the day we didn't save enough money, we'll still save money, but we want to save money. So that's the objective, and that's what your work as a BA will focus on, because that's what the business wants you to do, and they're the one paying the bill. So you need to make that happen. So in the long run, that's what a BA does. There's much more, but it's all around value, how we deliver value. Okay, so the first question is, I was gonna say what is a CV, but I'd rather say what does a CV do. That's just the best question, because on the long run, a CV could be many things. Somebody says it's a sales tool, it's to sell you. It's a tool to get your foot in the door. It's a tool to build conversation. But really, what does it do? So there's just a singular definition here, that the CV is to convince recruiters or anybody that has an interest, that wants to give you a job, give them a conviction that you are actually deserving of a conversation, that this CV stands out. Let me call this guy. That's all your CV does. That is the end of the life cycle of your CV. It goes where you cannot go, and it broadcasts your capabilities, your experience, your skills, and the value that you can bring to any customer from your historical information, which is on the CV. So it's just a piece of paper or a digital content that you send to somebody, maybe for a job or maybe for an opportunity. It might even be cold calling. Maybe you just tired of where you are, so you send your CV out and people call you, and it develops. Now, I have a lot of stories. I've been hired on LinkedIn about 2 or 3 times. And it was just, some of them were just a 15-minute interview, because they've seen my CV. They're convinced that, oh, this guy is, let's just confirm what we saw on his CV. So that's what an interview does. We want to confirm. If anybody calls you for a conversation, that means they are convinced that you can actually fill that role. So that's the end of the work of your CV, right? So it says that the main goal of a CV is to convince recruiters or decision makers that you are qualified and deserving of a conversation, an interview, or further consideration. So they might some interviews might be 3-4 steps. They might say, okay, let's put you in the next step. Once you pass that next step, and then you now take over from what the CV has done. They said it's a professional story on paper. So you are telling a story. this was the task, this was the action, this was the activity, and this was the result. So you want to tell a complete story, a convincing story. What were the things what were the challenges? What was the outcome? Did I save money? Did I improve a process? Did I spearhead a team? Did I lead an agile team? Did I develop a solution? Did I build something from ground up? So people are interested in what value you bring to the table, all right? Like I said, it's not going to be something long. These are probably things that you know, but it's just good to refresh. Even me, as I'm listening, I'm learning new things too on there. So let's go to the next slide. So these are the anatomy of a good CV. Now, as a minimum, I did put as a minimum there because it's dependent on a lot of things. Your experience you might want to add more things based on your experience or based on what other things that you know that you feel are relevant to your CV, to your desired role. Maybe you're looking for a principal business analyst, some other role. There might be other things around leadership, around giving direction to the business, working stakeholders, and all that. All those things you can decide to add. So your contact details must be all the contacts, phone number, email, LinkedIn profile, location. Location doesn't have to be your address. You can just say, oh, I live in London, or I live in Birmingham, or I live in Glasgow. That's enough. They just want to know the area where you live. Professional summary. Why are you looking for a job? So you must have a 4-liner that gives a precise reason why you're looking for a job, who you are, what you've done, and what you're looking for. Then your skills. Those are the things that you're able, that you've worked on, you've worked with, the things that you know, the outcomes that you've delivered, your experience. You could have worked in many organizations with many tools, with many people, cross-functional teams and all that. And your education, training, certifications, all those things should be there. All right. That's why I said it's a minimum. There's some other things that you have that will be there. All right. So all those things should be in a good CV. If those things are not there, well, it's not good enough. It might be okay, but it's not good enough, because I want to get to the place where maybe they are considering 2 of us, and because I have SAFe or I have Scrum, I edge forward a bit over that guy. So all those things are important. As anything that you think is relevant to them selecting you, add it to your CV. It's going to help on the long run. Okay. Next step. So what not to add. So you can see a lot of stickers there. Now, I want us to be as interactive as possible. If you think there's anything missing that you think you should not add in your CV, you can type it in the Zoom box, and we'll look at it and discuss it. So people don't want to know whether you're a dad. They want to know whether you're a mom. They don't want to know whether you have children. They don't want to know whether you're a musician, except it's relevant to the role. They don't want to know whether you're from Africa, from South Africa, from Asia, or from even the US. People don't want to know whether you roller skates. Of course, I roller skates. People don't want to know whether you're an activist. Let me tell you, there was a time I got a job about 5 years ago, and they went online and saw that I actually run a marriage ministry. And they said, because the organization is, I forgot what they call it. They are gay oriented and all that. They resigned my contract and said no, they were not going to take me anymore. And I said that's fine. It's okay. But those things happen. Those things do happen. But you don't want it on your CV. You don't want anything that can profile you on CV. We don't want to know your sex. Maybe you put it that you are a pretty woman or a beautiful one. What if I don't like woman? I'm the one shortlisting for the job. If I don't like those things that can profile you, your age, your race, your marital status, maybe you have kids, maybe you like traveling, or you like ice cream, you like eating. They don't want to know all those things. We want people to select you based on your skills and your experience, based on what you're bringing, not who you are. And that is very, very important. Don't put your picture. Don't put your picture on your CV. That's not going to help you. Don't put your picture. Don't put whether you have cats or a dog. All those things should not be on your CV. Your CV should be faceless. It should be a faceless, experienced person that can deliver value to your organization. A faceless person I've worked with many different organizations and I've helped them, to carry out transformations or whatever. Those are things we want to see in your CV. Those are the important elements that will filter out whether you're good enough or you're not qualified for the role. It shouldn't be based on, oh, I'm a dad, I'm a mom, I'm white, I'm black, I'm green, I'm from Saudi Arabia and all that. So all those things are not necessary in your CV. It's not necessary. And I don't think there will be any job that will say, oh, we prefer a man or a woman on a role. I think it's rare. I don't know if it exists, but I don't know. Please, if you've seen any, let me know, because I'm still learning myself. All right, let's go to the next slide. So your CV is about telling a story. Now, as a BA, you can see the piggy bank in the middle. Your role is to save money. On the long run, fundamentally, it's all about saving money. Businesses don't want to spend money on a lot of things. In fact, the average business wants to get value with zero investment if possible. So keywords that I want to see in your CV: I was responsible for, I improved this business, I aligned the business to deliver value. I created a plan, I created a roadmap. I worked in a think tank where we ideated and came up with ideas to resolve them, and then we tested it out. I facilitated collaboration. I aligned team. I improved the team. So those are the keywords that we want to see. Those are the outcomes that we want to see in your CV. They should be there, at least in maybe the first 3 or 4. You must have achievements and outcomes. You must have the problems that you solved, the goal that you had, how you implemented it, and the outcome. So we want to see percentages, we want to see money, we want to see savings, we want to see deliver this improvement and all that, which result in savings of so and so. All right. So we want to shift from responsibilities to accomplishments. While you are responsible for this, you achieve this. You understand? I want to see metrics. Metrics could be money. And the best metric anybody wants to see is how much you saved. All right. That's one of the best metrics. STAR, situation, task, action, result. We use that in interviews too. When you're telling your story, what was the situation? What did you do? What were the actions that you took? And what was the result? And that's a complete story. Now they can now start asking their questions around behavior, culture, how you create the strategies and all that. And then you can, go on from what you've said. All right. So it's important that we tell stories on our CV, because they're going to look at it and go, okay, yeah, you did that. Oh, call Danny up. Let's have a conversation. All right. So the next step, let's go to next step. So red flags in your CV, please when you actually write your CV, let somebody else look at it. All right. Let somebody else look at it, because like developers say, they don't test their own work, because there are some things that they just won't see because it's their own development. So that's why sometimes I run CV workshops and help people don't see those tiny mistakes, maybe an S in the wrong place, a U in the wrong place, and all that. And we don't want to be repeating phrases. If I say I led, you can't use lead so many times. I collaborated. Look for is what they call it, the antonyms, or other versions of that word. I led, I collaborated, I facilitated, I was responsible for. All those things are still leadership, but put in a different way. So you don't want your CV to be boring. I want to read a story that I don't feel like, I think I saw that 2 experiences away. You want to make it exciting and convincing and punchy. All right, your CV must be punchy. It must create different stories. My experience at GSK, my experience at NHS, my experience at maybe some other place is different. So those experiences must be different. Don't have grammatical errors. Make sure you put your CV through some maybe there are a lot of tools out there that can actually test your CV for errors. The cliches, make sure you don't repeat them. Don't use cliches on your CV. Make it sound professional. All right. Errors in formatting. Make sure your text is the same. No white spaces. No unnecessary white spaces. Keep it as as clean as possible and easy on the eye. Let somebody else look at your CV and give you feedback. All right. So all those red flags must be out of your CV, because if a recruiter sees a mistake, the chance of you getting your CV in the bin is very high. It's very high. That means you didn't pay attention to details. I've been there, so I know what I'm talking about. All right. Okay. Next one is when you're looking for work, there are going to be different versions of your CV. Now, don't do CV bombing. Just throwing the same CV to different industry specific roles or niches. For example, an industry specific could be, okay, maybe you want to move from e-commerce to healthcare. The lingo is going to be different, even though it's the same thing you do, but you need to look for ways to use the expected lingo that somebody in healthcare will look at. Things like maybe something like home care, or created requirements for clients and all that. Requirements still the same thing, but there are some keywords that will change when it comes to healthcare from e-commerce. Then the niche might be, they might say, oh, we want to build a CRM, or we want to build a mobile app, or we want to build a website. Now, all those things, even though they sound like they're all applications, but they are like different, they serve different purposes. A CRM is a customer relationship management tool. So there are things like lead management, marketing, service, sales cloud. All those things are the keywords. Business objects. I've done a bit of Salesforce, I can't remember, but all those things are things that should be on your CV. For example, if you're a business analyst, Salesforce administrator, you want to put things like business object, you want to put like permission sets, pick list. All those things are things that you would use, to convince someone that you actually know about Salesforce. If you're doing Microsoft Dynamics, it's still the same niche, but a different setup. They all have different things. All right. Then there's more. There could be more. There could be more things, but I'm just giving you an idea that your CV, you must have different versions of your CV. All right, different versions. Don't use the same CV to apply to many things. A quick tool I can give you is, if you now, this is a risk. I'm not going to ask you to do it, but I do it and I still humanize it. I put my CV on ChatGPT. I upload it to ChatGPT. And then the job description that I have, I asked ChatGPT to format my CV against that job description, and it brings out something new for you. But you need to still go back and look at it and format it correctly so that it meets the requirements of that job. Now, that ChatGPT is free. It's free to use. But you need to look at it and humanize it, because it's just going to churn out generic stuff based on your work experience, and some of it will be wrong, because I've used it a lot of times. And there are times I've rejected it and said, no, that's not good enough, and all that. But that's something that can help you move quickly. All right. So you must have different versions of your CV for different roles, even as a BA, because there are different kind of BA. You might be a UX BA, a UI BA, a mobile applications BA, a CRM BA. All those things require different lingos on the CV. All right. Let's move to the next step. So let's talk about your customer, the recruiter. Now, I wanted to ask this. You've seen it. I wanted to ask, in my mind, I would ask, how long do you think it takes a recruiter to actually look at your CV? How long do you think? If you haven't seen this, what do you think? How long do you think? Because considering that a recruiter has, if you go on LinkedIn, you see some jobs, 100 people, 400 people, 500 people, and all those people are submitting their CVs. The average recruiter has 6 seconds to look at the first three lines or 3 paragraphs of your CV. 10 to 6 seconds, all right, to pick you out and say, oh, Frank is good enough. Let's put Frank aside. We'll give Frank a call, or send Frank an email and have a chat with him, or invite Frank to an interview. That's it. That's how long they have, 6 to 10 seconds. So imagine you didn't put enough convincing information on the first 3 chapters. Your professional, your welcome message, your sales pitch is not good enough. Your experience is not clear. Your your skill sets is not clear. Now all those things could roll you out and end up in the bin. Now they said if they're now convinced that your CV is good enough, they spend about 60 seconds skimming through the CV to just build up on that interest to convince that you're good enough. So it's a minute max, a minute. It's not going to be more than a minute. So after a minute, I was like, oh, that's good enough. Okay, let's call him. Or oh no, you just keep him by the side and all that. So they do a quick scan looking for keywords, information, and things that match the job requirements. So if the CV catches their attention, they may spend more time, up to a few minutes, reading it in details. So that's how quickly they decide on that CV. So you need to sell yourself as strongly as possible. Your CV is a sales pitch. It's something that sells, that's going to sell you. All right. So it needs to be convincing. It needs to be clean. It needs to be clear. It needs to be punchy, and it needs to be interesting. And the story must be convincing. All right. So if you don't tell the story in a convincing way, sorry, it's not going to work. All right. So these are the things that recruiters look for in that 6 to 10 seconds. Don't mind the cats peeping on that. So that's what the recruiters look for. They look for keywords. So does the CV include specific skills and terms from the job description? You remember the ChatGPT trick I said I gave you. So you can use that, but you need to make sure that it's clean and it's convincing and it's clear. It's smart. You know, and using the star thing, you want to see the direction of the content. Is the content tailored? Is clear in alignment with the job requirements? You know, so this is the requirement of the job. You want to be sure that you actually have all those skills and all those experience, and you've been exposed to all those tools. You know, so professional summary, is your summary, like I said, is your summary punchy enough? Is it good enough for them? You know, have you worked across those businesses or those organizations that we have an idea, or those niche that we want an idea for? And then what's the value that you bring? You know, what are the achievements that you have on your CV? Are they convincing enough to call you to have a conversation with you? Can you actually be the change that we're looking for? Okay, so job title. So BAs can have many job titles. We can be proxy product owner. We can be scrum masters. We can be product owners. We can even be product managers. All right. So don't be afraid. If you've done a bit of product management, put it that you did it. There's no shame in it. It's not. You don't need to have a certification to be a product manager. All right. You don't need to have a certification to be a BA. If you have it, it's good enough. But if you don't, please be proud to put that you actually provided business analysis. You might even be providing it and you're not a business analyst. I know a lot of people that do that. All right. So recent roles, so they are looking at the last 5 to 10 years. If you don't have 5 to 10 years, it's fine, but they look at the last 5 to 10 years on your CV, and then look at it to see that you have actually done all those things. And then they look at your achievements. So what are the things that you've achieved? Have you built a CRM that 10 million people are using, or did you build something that 10 million people are using and all that? So all those things are important. Have you worked for an enterprise? Do you have an enterprise experience? Or have you worked in financial services? Or have you worked in healthcare? Have you worked in government using the GDS framework and all that? So all those things are important. All those things are, if they ask for it, if you have it, put it. Don't assume that they will know. All right. So they'll also look at your skills and the tools that you've used. So that's normal. And then formatting and readability of your CV. Your CV must be clean enough. It must be clear. It must be easily readable and all that. And then the last one is contact. You don't want to see that we like you and we can't contact you because you didn't put your LinkedIn profile or your CV or your contact phone number or your email, or you made a mistake in your email and your phone number was wrong. That's critical. You just lost out on the potential job. So make sure all those things are correct and easy to get. All right. Next step. So a badly written CV. So this is an example. This is just a random CV I asked ChatGPT to create. It doesn't have any value. All right. John Smith. He put his street. There's no city, no name. Email is there. Okay, and his phone number is the objective. I want the job that pays well, where I can work with a great team. So it's all about what he wants. It's not about what he's going to bring. Education. Okay, went to school. experience. So I did stuff, I helped with things, I talked to customer. What did you achieve? Nothing. Other company, I worked hard, I managed employees, I fixed problems. Now those are good tasks. But what did the fixed problem cost? The problem that you fixed, what was the outcome of it? If you fix a problem, what did you save on the long run? They didn't mean that because you fixed the problem, you now became the go-to person and you saved the business money hiring others to come and fix the problem. So how much was that on the long run? So those are things that you can look at for this CV and you can fix. Skills, I'm good with computers. What kind of computers? I'm friendly, I'm hardworking. We don't need all that. Those are not skills, okay? Hobbies, nobody needs your hobbies. So a lot of things. This is a badly written CV. I know this is hyper, but just give you an idea of what's out there, what some people actually submit for a job role. And if this is just this, like I said, it's just a random thing that I created, but it could be that bad. All right. So let me give you an example of a better CV. Now, it might not be the best, but this is a potential business analyst CV. Okay, it highlights specific achievements, skills and tools relevant to the position, but there's still a potential flag in there, and I'll see if you know it. So the name is there, the phone number is correct with the postcode, with the code. The location is New York. You can see he didn't put his postcode or anything. They don't need to have your postcode. You don't need it because even putting that might cause them to start asking questions. With the place is 2 miles away. Can you make it? The place is 10, 20 miles away. Can you make it? They just need to know that you live in London. That's fine. So the LinkedIn profile is there. Now the professional summary says, I'm a highly motivated and detail-oriented business analyst with over 10 years of experience in driving business solutions through data analysis, stakeholder collaboration, and process optimization. I have a proven ability to deliver actionable insights that enhance operational efficiency and support strategic decision making. So that means it works with C-suite stakeholders. I'm adept at identifying opportunities, managing cross-functional team, and implementing data-driven solutions in fast-paced environments. So this guy has a lot of skills. You can see that in that professional summary, you can also pick out that he's probably worked with Agile because he works with, not necessarily, but it implies it. Is data focused. It's worked on projects. It's worked on business improvement, process improvement. All right. He's worked on stakeholder collaborations, gathering requirements for stakeholders. He's worked on improved processes. So it's 5 lines, but you can pick out a lot of things. He has 10 years experience. Yeah. He's delivered a lot of solutions through data analysis, working with stakeholders, and improving process. So it's quite punchy. It's interesting. You want to look at so the key skill says that I gather requirements and I create documentation. So data analysis and the tools I use, data analysis and visualization, Power BI, Excel, Tableau, Power BI, process improvement of organization. So he has a 6 Sigma certification, stakeholder engagement and communication, agile and scrum methodologies, business process modeling. So those are probably the things that they've asked for. He might have more, but it's not. They're not asking for those things. So they are interested in the things that he has done. He has experience with, that he's been exposed to, that will actually drive value to the potential new boss. So if you look at the professional summary and the key skills, they are punchy, very, very punchy. The key skills actually just repeats what the professional summary is. You've seen data analysis, requirements gathering, process improvement, stakeholder engagement, agile and scrum. So there up there, I said I've worked with cross-functional teams, but now it says agile and scrum, which is good. Even though I think agile and scrum could be, it's questionable, but it's fine. We can leave it. A lot of guys just take it as agile and scrum. Business process modeling too, which is good for improving processes. So, and then the first, even though the experience was more than this, I just put the first one to give us an idea of what our description of the CV should be. So my role was senior business analyst, XYZ Solutions in New York from 2015 to 2023. So I was there for about 8 years. So I led, see, those are the key words. I led cross-functional team. I conducted, I designed, I collaborated. You can see that I did not repeat any keywords. Don't repeat keywords as much as possible. If you have to use lead so many times, look for synonyms of lead and use it. All right. I led, I facilitated, I enabled, I provisioned. All those things are things that you can use. You don't want to repeat led on your CV on other things. Even though leadership is the BA is a silent leader. We provide leadership without being in that place of power, because what we do is we provide options, we provide we enable decision making. So it's a form of leadership. It's a form of silent, salient leadership that we provide as BAs. So, like I said, I'm going to read out the CV again. So I led cross-functional teams in gathering and analyzing business requirements for a large-scale project, reducing timelines by 15%. So that's a complete story. What I did was I provided leadership, also created requirement document for a large-scale project. Okay, for large-scale projects, not even one, so many projects, because it was there for 8 years, reducing project timelines by 15%. So because everybody was aligned, everything was in place, we're able to deliver the project on time, all right, compared to before. So the savings was 15%. I conducted detailed gap analysis to identify inefficiencies. So that's process improving things, resulting in a 20% increase in operational efficiency. So that's a business process improvement. It ended up in efficiency by 20%. I designed dashboards and reports in Tableau to track KPIs, key performance indicators, and business performance, improving decision-making speed by 25%. So that simply says I work with leadership to help them make decisions quickly. And that's still part of what his professional summary was. I collaborated with stakeholders to define and document business needs, aligning deliverables with organizational goals. So that's also working to create clarity and driving business objective. So everything that's been there is still a reflection of the professional summary. Now there's more, but I didn't add it because I didn't want to. There wasn't enough space. So the next thing is now education, which is important, certifications and additional information. So additional information includes I have experience, technical proficiency in SQL, Tableau, Power BI, Excel, Advanced Excel. I don't know what that is. Advanced Excel, Jira, and Confluence. Languages, fluent in English, intermediate proficiency in Spanish. So I did say there was a red flag there. Now, personally, I wouldn't say, except it is needed, I will not say I speak English and I speak Spanish, except they've asked it that the person must be Spanish speaker. So that is the potential red flag, except it's specified in the job description that you must speak Spanish, a bit of Spanish and English. All right. So I don't know if anybody asks questions, please. You can get them ready or start asking them now, because I'm going to stop very soon. There's not a lot left anymore. So that's what a good CV looks like. And also, if you need a CV template, I'm happy to send you something. Even though I can provide this link to everybody, you can have it and keep it for your own records. I'll look at it and I'll share the link on very soon with you now. So the next one is so yeah, do you have any questions? So that's it. Thank you very much. I think that was the last page. All right.
Thank you so much for that. And we've got a question, and we've also got some comments in the chat view. So before I ask my questions and raise some comments, I'll ask, if you don't mind, Mr. Idris, would you mind asking your question? And then if Mr. Dada could answer that, I'd then respond to that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Dada, for a fantastic presentation. Just out of curiosity, how many pages do you think a very good CV should have? 2 pages, 3 pages, 1 page?
I am very thankful that you asked that question. It is not, there is no, personally, my CVs don't get more than 3 pages, but there's no, I don't think there's any real, it depends on the role you are going for. If you are, for example, you're a director, your CV could be 10 pages or 20 pages when your experience or how much experience they're asking for. But the rule of law says that your CV should be between 1 and 3 pages. 1 and 3. So if you can squeeze everything in 1 page, cool, do that. If you can't, make it 2. So ideally, there's no, well, yeah, it's flexible. I would say maximum 2 and 3. 2 and 3 pages is fine because, like I said, the person has 6 seconds to look at your CV. They're not going to flip through 20 pages of work. You understand? They're not going to flip through that. So make it as attractive and as punchy as possible. Make your stories punchy, short, bulleted and all that, and it should be as lightweight as possible. So 2, 3 is fine. 2, 3 is fine. I think between 2 and 3 is fine, but it's not set in stone. Like I said, it depends on what role you are going for. Because like I said, ideally they're looking at the first 3 paragraphs, and that would drive conviction. If they're happy with it, they look some more. If they are convinced, they look some more. So you don't want to keep them on your CV for 1 hour or longer. So ideally, thank you so much. Somehow I missed that out. But that's a really good question. So there's no, like I said, there's no set law around the size of your CV. But people say between 1 to 3 pages is fine. It's fine for a BA role. Yeah.
Thank you
so much, Idris. That was really, really good.
Thank you. And could I add to that response before Ellen asks her question? Now, whatever you do, as Mr. Dada has said, it's ideal to have 2 to 3, page CVs. Even if you've got 30 years experience, it's always ideal to have 3 pages maximum. However, regardless of how many pages you have to make sure that your first page convinces the recruiter to keep reading, to keep turning over to the next page. And if your CV is 3 pages, then again, your second page has to convince that recruiter to turn over to the 3rd page. So the length is important, but what is most important is the content on each page to make sure that you're able to convince the recruiter to keep turning over and reading your CV. I've got a lot more to say, but I'll let Ellen also raise her question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibuku. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Banks. Thank you very much for arranging this. I wasn't able to get in on time, but I did catch everything that you were saying from I believe a point that was really significant for me. Good evening, Mr. Idris and everybody on here. My question is it's a bit tricky because this thing about a CV being about 2 pages or 3 pages long, I just wanted to ask, sometimes because of formatting, you may have prepared a 2-page CV that will print over 5 pages, 4 pages, or even longer, depending on the settings on the other side and who's printing. So when as a recruiter is looking at a CV like that, do they judge the length of your CV according to their formatting standards and how many pages is printing for them? Or how do they judge how long it is? Because you would have probably prepared it and kept it to 2 pages, and their settings will blow it out to become many pages. How would a recruiter usually look at a situation like that? And how would that affect you if you were looking for a job with a CV like that? Thank you.
I don't think recruiters really print out CVs, because if 1,000 people are applying and they print out 1,000 CVs, that's going to overwhelm them. They will probably look at it online first. It's probably PDF or Word and all that. Even though a lot of people say Word is better than PDF, but I don't think that's a problem, because, like Ibuku said, it's the content that really matters. If it flows out to 5 pages and the content is still convincing, they will call you. It's not the pages don't matter. It's what's on there. Because if you're convinced that everything you put on your website, on your CV blows up to 5 pages, it's fine. If there's no set rule as to how many pages, as long as they didn't tell you, oh, your CV must be 3 pages, send it. Nobody will tell you that, ideally. So what's important is what is in your CV and the structure of your CV. Now, like you said, the formatting might mess up. And that's important. The formatting shouldn't mess up. That's why you need to consider whether you use Word or PDF. I mean, if it's PDF, it's not going to change. If it's Word, it can probably change because all those things flicker around when you try to print them. So the formatting is affected by the kind of format that you send to the recruiter. So I don't think that's a problem potentially, because they are still going to read it anyway, and they are going to look at the first line of the first 3 chapters, 3 paragraphs, and that drives the conviction or the zeal for them to check on, to move further and look at the other experiences you look. And they're not going to look at all your experience anyway. They're going to look at the last 5, 6, 7 years to see what you've done and what's relevant, and then they will call you, or they will say, let's they'll make a decision. So I don't think printing out or formatting is a problem. It's one of those things that will definitely happen, but it's the content that is king. The content is what drives the interest for them to to want to speak with you further, or or make a decision, or refer you for something else. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
And I actually wasn't even thinking that all CVs will be printed, but recently I saw a recruiter actually with a printout. So I was just singling that out, particularly in the event that a recruiter had decided that rather than look at it and skim through, they'd rather print and maybe just highlight
Let me
some
tell you,
things on the CV.
if a recruiter prints out your CV, that means he's interested in you. That's just it. If he prints it out, that means he's interested, because he must have looked at it before. He can't just print out random CV. You look at the process. I mean, 100 people have sent their CV, and I'm printing. I can't print out 100 CVs. I need 1 or 2 people for the role, or 3 or 4 for an interview. So I print out those 4, and that means that they've made up their mind to move further with you. So it's a good thing they print it out, and I don't think that should be something you should be happy with. So it doesn't matter whether. Don't worry, they print out and it comes on 10 pages. They will pay. They will make money off hiring you. So it's fine. It's what they do. So in the other mindset, I think if they print out your CV, is because they want to speak with you, because they've looked at it digitally and they are convinced that Mike or Adam is fine. Let's print out this profile, because even if they are going to come and do an interview, they need that CV in front of them to ask you questions. So that's a good sign that they've looked at it and they're happy, and they'll print you out. They definitely won't print out 100 CVs, because they're not going to interview 100 people, or except they're mad. So that's my mindset. That's what I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, that makes sense actually.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Any other questions?
I think Mr. Idris still has his hands up. Is that a legacy hand, or did you have something to say?
No, it's a new question actually.
Okay.
New question. Yes,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
So you mentioned capturing the achievements. So what's the best way to put the achievements out there? Are you saying I was able to move so from X to Y or something like that, or what's the best way to capture the achievements? Because I think they want to see the achievements as well.
Yeah, the best way to capture achievements is the metrics. What can I measure? What did you do? 50%, 20%. Nobody's going to ask you how you got 20%. They're just interested that you're able to articulate stuff in a way that I can paint pictures. If you say 10 million, I'm not seeing 10,000. I'm seeing value. You understand? If I said I build a portal that 6 million plus people are using, they are seeing value. They are seeing enterprise. They are seeing a lot of things. So all those things add value to the conviction that this is our guy. Let's call him in for an interview. So it's around metrics, just like all the Scrum Master. I'm not saying Scrum Masters are not, but it's around metrics, burn down, burn up. How quickly are we going? What are the problems? What's stopping our train from arriving at the port and all that? It's all around metrics, because that's what the business is interested. If I'm putting money into something, I want to see what am I getting for it. If I put £1 million in a project, what are we getting at the end of 5 years? It's all around metrics. You understand? So it's all around, I improved this and got this by 10%. I did that, or I built a project that served 20 million people. We build it quickly and saved 15%, considering another project that we did in the past and all that. So it's all around metrics. It's something that I can conceive in my mind and, and I'll allude to, so to say. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's around value that I can measure. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And could I just add to that point, because you said there that no one's going to ask you how you actually achieved this, but I believe that in some instances, at your first recruiter call, they may actually ask you to articulate exactly how you achieved that. So I wouldn't say that nobody's going to ask you that question. So whatever you put down in your CV that you achieved in terms of metrics, you need to be able to articulate how. If not during that initial call, you need to be able to articulate that at interview, that this is what I achieved. I delivered 50% cost savings on my budget due to the replacement of legacy systems that I put in a proposal, which was costed. So I submitted a business case. And on that basis, once the business case was approved, I then delivered that project, rather than simply putting in those metrics and not being able to articulate exactly how you did that. And that brings me to the topic of AI. I know that you mentioned that you go and you run CVs, which is a good idea. I mean, you run your CV through AI. But one of the things that recruiters have noticed recently, and I've noticed that as well, when I know when somebody's providing an AI response to a question. Now, one of the things that recruiters are saying nowadays is that in many cases they don't actually review an AI generated CV, because they deem that if somebody cannot generate their own CV, then that would suggest that they may not be articulate enough. And again, the risk of using AI is that you turn up for the interview and they recognize instantly that the way that you talk, the way you construct your sentences, does not reflect the person, the CV that you've presented. Even I know that if I were to run my CV through ChatGPT, for example, I wouldn't speak that way if I were to be invited to an interview to discuss my CV. So that's why I prefer to use my own words. And that's why we also do manual CV reviews like this session today, or in mentorship calls that I run, or that our board ExCos will start to run now. We do manual CV reviews to make sure that your CV actually reflects you as an individual. I've had many sessions, mentoring sessions, where I'm talking people through their CVs and they're not actually able to articulate exactly what they've gone to use ChatGPT to compose. So it's so important that you need to be mindful that ChatGPT is not the answer to everything. I've seen many posts on LinkedIn where people will say, here are 50 prompts or 100 prompts that you can type into ChatGPT to compose your CV for you. And the issue again with that is that you'll then end up with multiple people having very similar CVs. And so a recruiter, again, will just throw all of them out, knowing quite clearly that these have all been generated using AI. So let's just be mindful of that and try and construct our own statements of fact, of things that we can do and things that we have done, things that we have a knowledge of, rather than relying on AI to construct that for us. And I also wanted to say that we need to ensure that our CV aligns with our LinkedIn profile. So a lot of individuals say that they've got multiple CVs for different sectors and everything like that, which is really, really good. And I know that you've also mentioned that, Mr. Dada, in this workshop today. But it's important that when you send out different CVs, you mustn't lose the essence of what you've posted on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, if you've posted that you've worked in this company, that company, this is the role that you've occupied in these various companies in your previous experience, your CV, you can actually include those companies, but you can then remove, let's say that you worked as a project manager / BA in a previous company and you're now applying for a BA role. So on LinkedIn, you've written that you've worked as a project manager BA in that company. If you're now applying for a BA role, you can make sure that you emphasize the BA responsibilities that you held in that hybrid role, but don't take the whole role out and say that you didn't work there, because everyone has access to your LinkedIn profile. So that must align with your CV to a large extent. There mustn't be that disparity between both, because if you can't gain the trust of the recruiter when they read your CV, then and they go on for your LinkedIn profile, then they definitely won't be calling you for an interview. And I'd also like to say that one last thing, and this is a point of correction for Mr. Dada. I noticed that in your presentation, if you go back a few slides to where that cat is peeping out, you said, you said, you made the statement, don't mind the cat that's peeping out. So if you were talking through your CV with a recruiter, or if you were in an interview and you made that statement, a recruiter might think, well, then why is it there? Yeah, then why is it there? True. Whatever you document in your presentations, in your CV, you have to be prepared to stand by it.
Okay.
Let your CV, I liked all of your slides, but I liked your opening slides where you talked about the purpose of a CV, that it actually sells you. Let your CV speak about your unique selling points. And if you're not looking for a job, let's say you live in New York, but you're able to travel across the US to work, then I'd remove New York from the CV, because then that constrains you.
Yeah, that's correct.
To that state. So I'd simply remove it and not put my location there. But if you can only work in New York or only work in London, then you include that location there, right, so that recruiters know to only limit your roles to London. And then the last thing that I stated in the in the comments earlier is that I sometimes include a phonetic breakdown of my name, so that I will spell my name. I'll put my Ibukun there, Ibukun, but I'll also include in brackets ebook and then dash un. Because if a recruiter cannot pronounce your name, and I've actually been told this years ago, when a recruiter asked me if I could shorten my name to something shorter than Ibukun, and I said no, that I don't want to shorten it to IBK because I actually hate that name, that nickname. I'd rather be called Ibukun, or you call me Ibukun Luakpo. And so they quickly decided that they would call me Ibukun. Yes, well, that's what I said. Yeah, exactly. But that recruiter then said, because if people see a CV with John Smith or Paul James, and then they now see Ibukun Emmanuel or Ibukun Emmanuel Adebayo, they're most likely to actually ring the John Smith that they can readily pronounce. which is why I add that phonetic breakdown of my first name so that they can easily pronounce it. So they don't think, I don't want to embarrass myself by ringing this person, so I may as well not bother to ring them. So that's the sole reason. But everything else has just been amazing tonight. And I'm really grateful that you've actually helped us to take a look at how we construct, as you said, not just a BA CV, but any CV. Yeah, what you've put here, what they look for, formatting, readability. And to Ellen, this is Ellen now, not Helen, because we've got both on the session tonight. To Ellen, I'm not sure that I've seen an instance whereby, unless your CV is in Word or something, that they can print it out. If it's a PDF, I'm not sure if they could actually get, if they could actually print it out and then it suddenly loses its formatting.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that. So if you want to avoid the risk of that, then you may want to submit a PDF. However, Mr. Dada raised a very good point that if they've taken the time to print off your CV, then that means that they're interested in you. They want to have a discussion with you because they wouldn't want to waste their stationery to actually print off a CV just to not go ahead and talk to the candidate. So thank you so much for that very interesting presentation. Has anyone got any further questions or comments, please?
I have a little comment. Yeah, I know I did talk about the ChatGPT thing, but I did say something that you need to go back and humanize whatever it's come out. That means make it yours. I don't know whether that didn't come out loud enough, but it's a tool that's meant to help you. It shouldn't replace your ability to actually create things for yourself. It's meant to help you, meant to create like a paradigm for you to consider what's possible. But it still isn't perfect because it will never be. It just copies stuff from outside and brings it back. So that's what I actually do with it. I don't really use it. I just use it to look at compare my CV in different formats and see what's available. Everything you said was really gold, and personally, I think I will reduce my use of ChatGPT for things like that
No.
because it's not. Yeah.
No apologies. That wasn't the intention of what I said. And
Yeah.
you were quite clear that you need to go and review things and make that CV yours. But one of the things that I've seen with individuals that I've mentored or that I've had phone calls with is that they will first of all start with ChatGPT, preparing a CV for them, and then they don't know how to go about making it their own. Whereas if you start with your own CV, run it through ChatGPT if you want to, and then from the output, you then continue to make it your own. You go back and you review and you tidy things up to make sure that it reflects the way that you speak, to make sure that you can actually articulate. So you provide an input rather than a prompt. What a lot of people do is that they will simply say, prepare me a BA CV. And then they start to try and make it their own just by tweaking a few words. Whereas that's not the essence of ChatGPT. You prepare your own CV and you may then want to run it through that tool. And then the output, you then verify again that this actually represents me and that if I attend an interview, the recruiter won't be thinking, well, this CV doesn't reflect the person that I'm actually talking to here, and that this person hasn't done what is written in their CV. And that's why I don't, and I have absolutely nothing against anyone who uses ChatGPT for, anything at all. It's a very good tool, I've heard. However, the people that I've met, the majority of individuals that I've met that have used it have not been able to justify their CV when we do a CV review. And then I tell them, okay, you now need to go and write down exactly what you've done. let me know what you've done so that when I'm asking you questions about this CV, you're able to respond and say, yes, this is what I did. This is how I did it. And that you're able to answer follow-on questions. Because if you put in your CV that, well, I saved the company 50 million or so, as I just said, as I said earlier, you've put that in your CV. I saved the company 50 million due to a legacy infrastructure replacement. That's great. And then if you're able to articulate that at an interview, that's great. However, when the recruiter now asks you a further question, so how did you deal with resistance from key stakeholders?
Yeah.
If you haven't actually done it, you'll struggle to articulate that. So it's so important that we make sure that whatever we put into our CV, whether it's through any AI tool or whether we write it down ourselves, we're able to provide examples. We're able to justify everything that's in our CVs.
Thank you very much. It's good.
Thank you. Any further comments? Any further questions, please? And if not, thank you so much, sir, for providing this, this workshop in your own time. I mean, we value your time, we value your experience as a board ExCo of the Ladder Back Down, and we really appreciate you for actually sparing that time, taking that time out, volunteering to actually provide this to our members and to members of the community. So thank you so much. And that was a fantastic presentation. Thank you. We value you.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Okay, on that note, I'll close the session and I'll provide a link to the recording in the Telegram community. And then we can watch it. And if we've got further questions, we can reach out to Mr. Dada. Would you like individuals to reach out to you or to raise those questions in the community?
Yeah. They can reach out to me. Also, if anybody needs a sample CV template, I'm happy to provide one. I normally have one I share with people, but you just need to make it yours, customize to make it yours. If you need any support, just let me know. I'm happy to help with that.
Thank you. And would you like to that to be done through the community in the BA group?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Okay.
I'm there. I'll respond.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So what I'll do is that when I post the link to this recording in the community, I'll also tag you in so that, and I'll put a comment that anyone who would like to